Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto was born in the Uzumaki clan, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
A lazy yawn escaped from a young boy's mouth as he heard the soft yet consistent knocks on his doorstep. As he crept out of his bed, he felt the first wave of cold air hit his almost naked body. The very first thing that came to his mind was the fact that he hated hated the weather, and most of all hated the never-ending rains. He had thought about it a lot, and as hard as it was to admit, he couldn't deny the fact that even an oppressive power like Fire Nation and even his dear Azu had 1,000 times better a climate than the poverty-stricken Omegakure. It was harsh, but to be honest he felt no loyalty towards this nation or its people. He was doing this job to protect his friends and clan, while accomplishing a few secret agendas of his own. After that he was done. And Kami help him if he had to stay here for more than a few weeks. It was with such thoughts that a grumpy Naruto Uzumaki roughly opened the door of his room. It was just going to be another one of the annoying servants Hanzo had provided. And if the old man didn't think that Naruto knew exactly what game he was playing, then the leader of was in for quite a surprise. Regardless, the tables turned when instead of finding another nameless servant he found Conan at his door. The Angel, a ridiculous name to call someone. Conan arched one of her eyebrows as she stared at him. Naruto looked down and found that he was dressed in just his boxes, not that he cared much. Like what you see? Asked Naruto casually. She simply shrugged her shoulders. I've seen better. She had to fight hard to hide her smirk on seeing his eyebrows twitch, if only a little. It had been 2 days since they brought Naruto back to the capital, and ever since the boy had asked to be left alone for a while. A request which Hanzo had agreed to until now. I have been asked to give you a tour of the capital, said Conan frankly, and was not surprised when he sighed. I'll pass, replied Naruto defiantly. This girl was interesting but quite dangerous. And he had already seen proof enough of that, not to mention he felt quite uneasy when she looked at him. It was as if she could see clean through his lies sometimes, and that freaked him out. And the most dangerous thing about her was that unlike Akeno, Conan simply didn't fucking care. She didn't push and simply let himself be, that was as long as he didn't get in her way or did something that was a threat to her nation. Proof of this habit were her next words. Suit yourself. I'll inform Hanzo that you are not feeling well, like the last 2 days, she said, not a single annoyed or angry emotion visible in her stoic gaze. Without another word or suggestion, Conan turned and started walking away. Where are my friends? Asked Naruto curiously, making her stop, but she didn't turn back around to face him. Akeno is helping the older children of your clan find new accommodations. She's also very busy scanning through the list of decent families who have applied to adopt many of your younger clan children. Hanzo-sama has given her full authority to decide whether any of the families are suitable for this task or not, explained Conan, and from the corner of her eyes she clearly saw him frown. I don't trust your people, even the civilians. Not yet, he admitted, earning a nod from her. Understandable, but the young children need a home and a stable environment to grow, which only a family can provide. It is either that or the orphanage, and trust me, you don't want that option, said Conan bluntly, and he didn't miss the bitterness in her voice. There was a silence in the long corridor as for that brief second his eyes connected with her own. And he knew. You were an orphan, weren't you? Asked Naruto silently, his voice neither carried pity or kindness. Being in a similar situation like her throughout his life had made him learn that he hated people who pitied him for how his life turned out. Life was shitty, there was no other way around. You either accept it and try to make it better, or keep on crying trying to garner people's pity. Looking into her eyes made him understand just a little as to who Conan was among the two options. Yes, said Conan flatly. You rose pretty high. Must have been quite a journey, he said honestly, and he saw a small smile grace her lips. It made her look quite beautiful. I could say the same about you, she replied, looking him in the eye. A small breath escaped from his lips, a wry thought passed through his mind, and he looked back at her to find her waiting. How about having some coffee? Asked Naruto, making her look at him curiously. Coffee. So early in the morning, said Conan amusedly, but he merely shrugged as a small grin arrived on his lips. Maybe I'll be a little less grumpy after having some coffee in my veins, replied Naruto causally. She snorted. Fine, but I warn you it won't come cheap, said Conan directly. Whatever you say. After all you're buying. With a mischievous wink, he slammed the door shut. Conan remained rooted in her spot, quite a surprised expression clearly visible on her face on seeing his bluntness. The boy had guts, she had to give him that. But a complete asshole at the same time. Even so, she couldn't help but allow a small chuckle to escape her lips. Naruto casually walked through the streets of Am's capital, his trained eyes taking in everything around him. Right from the perfect drainage lines on the sidewalks that effectively carried all the constant rainfall, otherwise the people would forever be drowned in floods. The gigantic towers around him in which people used to live, they were the tallest in the world. A proof of Am's rising industrialization and technology. The other great nations had resources but not the technology. If he could only place Am at the top within a few years and his clansmen in charge of this nation, he wouldn't need to recreate a zoo from scratch, since he would help his clan in taking over Am. It would not be easy with Hanzo and the samurai at the helm, or with ninjas like Conan and Galatea guarding this small nation. But if he could somehow show Nagato as a leader to the people of Am, then the military won't have any choice but to nominate his friend as the next leader. Nagato was powerful and only needed the right push. One which Naruto would gladly give. He shivered when a torrent of rainfall washed over him. Looking at his side he saw Conan smirk at him. She was completely dry, courtesy of her chakra manipulation which she had been using to keep both of them from getting drenched in the unending rainfall. That was until he drifted off into his own world, completely ignoring her for some time. A point she made quite clear by making him soak in the rainfall. Earth calling? Asked Conan amusedly, as he shot her a nasty glare. Since I'm the one buying you coffee and giving you the tour, I expect to be listened to, she said, a hint of authority present in her voice. Is that so? Asked Naruto, a grin arriving on his lips as he flicked his fingers. He quickly leapt out of the way as the idle water on the streets rose from all sides and rained down on a surprised Conan. By the time it was over, Conan was drenched from head to toe. The bystanders had a variety of emotions ranging from amusement, annoyed, to downright angry glares on their faces on seeing their beloved angel being drenched like that. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle out loud as he saw the look on her face. A tense moment followed as she looked at him laughing. And somehow that laugh made her break out a smile, which soon broke into a happy laugh on her own. The civilians and shinobi around relaxed, some even broke out happy smiles on seeing their angel laugh so happily. The moment only became much more sweet for many of the women, when they saw the redhead boy grab an umbrella and step beside Conan. The rain falling over the girl stopped, and she looked up to see a dark umbrella protecting her from the rains. She looked to her side, to see Naruto holding the umbrella with a slight apologetic smile on his face. Sorry for getting you wet, whispered Naruto, as her cheeks flushed a little on his choice of words. Shameless, replied Conan, without any kind of annoyance in her voice. And did Naruto detect a hint of approval in her voice? I try my best. Now I think we should move, we've given enough a show to the people, suggested Naruto, as she gave him a challenging look. Oh, you scared? Whispered Conan, and saw him glance at her curiously. Didn't know you were an exhibitionist, teased Naruto. He tensed when she stepped closer, enough to have her lips be a mere inch away from his. He felt his heart beat a little faster as the combined body heats offered the only protection against the cold weather of Am. The look in her eyes made the world around him melt away, and he found himself dissolving in those dazzling orbs of her. I am lot of things, Uzumaki Naruto. He must have been in quite a trance, as only when the cold rainfall hit his body again did he realize she had walked ahead. Along with his umbrella. Seeing her smile back at him triumphantly made him feel something strange in his chest. Being drenched in the rains didn't affect him a bit as he continued to stare into her eyes. And only when did he catch a glimpse of the large crowd that had gathered to watch them did he manage to break this strange moment between him and Conan. He had to fight hard to hide his blush when he saw so many women glance at him adorably, while a few of the younger men were glaring at him. Shaking his head, he ran after her knowing only one thing. Am was driving him crazy. Both of them took their seats in a relatively well-known cafe in the capital. Naruto was actually surprised to find an automated machine at the entrance that helped dry the people. They called it dryer or something. Sure, ninjas could get themselves dry easily, but for the civilians living under constant rainfall, this device would be like a blessing. He couldn't help but think about some interesting ideas that formed in his mind. If not anything else, had the technology and manpower to bring about a new revolution. But that would come later. For now he had to have some coffee. As he drank from the mug, he discovered one of the new things he liked about apart from the growing industrialization and technology. Like it? Asked Conan, a smirk easily seen on her lips. It'll do, replied Naruto neutrally, getting a nod from her as she drank her own hot tea. So, when are we starting this special group you talked about? Asked Naruto seriously. It won't be long before he received new development information from his minions and maybe from Kisame. He had to micromanage 2 factions, and that required proper planning and organizing. By the end of this week, it takes time to scan through the list of potential recruits, gather the resources and establish the command structure, stated Conan flatly. Fair enough. Hopefully, the ninjas would have prior training and mission experiences. Otherwise, our missions would only be more difficult if we are forced to carry young rookies, clarified Naruto, which made her sigh. I understand your point, but only has a limited military force, and the few who are powerful have been assigned various important tasks. We'll try to get the best, but you'll just have to work with who's available, answered Conan, and saw him sigh, but he did give her an acknowledging nod. What kind of training have you gone through so far? Since you are working with us, we'll need to know your skill set and past experience, she added. To her credit, she never flinched as his gaze hardened and he searched her eyes for any sign of treachery or ulterior motives of any kind. The moment lasted for quite some time, and only when he was satisfied did he lean back a little, much to her relief. Espionage, assassinations, infiltration, tracking, interrogation, he answered, no emotion in his voice. You seem too young for many of these tasks. But after seeing what you did during our first battle, making sure your people survived in enemy territory for months, I believe you have been trained from early age. Possibly to be inducted into some special forces program Azu must have or was creating, suggested Conan, surprising him a little. She was quite sharp. Yes, I was planned to be recruited in the special forces once my training was over, the rest you know, he answered, some bitterness seeping into his words which made her nod. Your friends say you never take prisoners during a mission. Is that true? Asked Conan curiously. Unless I'm ordered to, or the target has incredible value, number. There is no point in spending resources and manpower after someone who would slice your neck the very first chance they get, he admitted frankly. I'll take your word for it. Hopefully, you'll be complacent enough to take prisoners if or the mission demands for it, hinted Conan, eyeing him quite seriously. I may not be loyal to this nation, but I respect a contract. And I would not to do anything that may harm my friends and clan. I'm sure you must have considered that before you offered me this deal, said Naruto slyly. We did, she confessed. There was a long silence between them as each of them sipped their coffee and tea respectively. Possibly going over what they had just revealed to each other. Tell me about yourself, said Naruto, looking at her directly. Nothing special. I was an orphan, my parents were ninjas who died during the previous war. No siblings or family, spent most of my life in the orphanage until Hanzo noticed me and recruited me into his service, replied Conan, and he didn't miss the hint of pride in her voice. He must have seen something special in you to do such a thing personally. He doesn't seem like the type of man who'll go for anything but the best, suggested Naruto, making her smile. I can see why Hanzo-sama took an interest in you. Uzumaki Naruto, you remind him of himself in his younger days. Smart, powerful, loyal and a ninja with a vision for change. This may not be your nation, we may not be your people, but know this, that Salamander Hanzo sees something special in you. Don't let it go to waste, advised Conan, as he arched one of his eyebrows in surprise. I'll keep that in mind, even so you seem more than loyal to Hanzo. You care about him like family, suggested Naruto, as she blinked before a smile broke out on her lips as she thought about the man who changed her life for the better. Yes, her instincts went to alert mode, when she saw him gaze intently into the entrance area of the shop. Someone or something had caught his attention, completely. It seems Am has started to be infested by rats, whispered Naruto, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Conan's eyes widened as she recognized the term used for an enemy spy. She tried to move towards a better position in order to locate the target, only to feel a firm grip on her hand by Naruto himself. You'll spook her. Let her gather the information she seeks from that over-talkative waitress. I get the feeling this woman is not alone, said Naruto icily. How do you know she's a spy? Asked Conan silently. I can feel her fear, her anxiety, and that gives me the power to catch a glimpse of her mind. I can fully infiltrate her mind, but that will simply alert her remaining comrades who can be nearby. So I'm just brushing the edges of her mind with my dark powers. It seems Awagakure is almost ready for a new offensive, said Naruto coldly. You're not bluffing about this, are you? Asked Conan hesitantly, and saw the same cold gaze she had seen during their first battle. The look in his eyes sent a shiver down her spine. It was merciless and promised only one thing. Pain. From the corner of his eyes, Naruto saw the short, dark-haired woman leave her seat and get out of the shop. His gaze swept over Conan, who was rooted in her spot. You know what to do. It was all he said before disappearing in a cloud of black smoke that easily seeped out of the window near them. Conan only had a moment to steel herself, before she also disappeared in a swirl of paper petals. Conan learned one thing. Uzumaki Naruto was a cunning predator. It had taken her several minutes to follow his trail in pursuit of this potential spy he was sure of. There were times when she nearly lost both their tails, but managed to gain it after a few more minutes of searching. It must have costed her a lot of time, as by the time she reached him, it was all over. Naruto lay standing in one of the dark alleys surrounding a worn-out house. It was one of the poorest districts in the capital, one where the worst kind of people lived. An easy place for spies and murderers to disappear into. But this time, luck ran out for them. A small wave of dark chakra was radiating off his body, protecting him from the rains falling from the sky. In front of him lay three humans who were shivering. A woman whom Conan recognized must have been the spy he was talking about, a middle-aged man and a young boy who was of their age. I must admit, it was quite a sound strategy to send an entire team of spies pretending as another poor family. Iwa is not as dumb as I imagined, said Naruto, a cold smile arriving on his lips. Please, we are just poor people. We don't have anything, pleaded the woman desperately, tears falling from her eyes. Conan felt bad for her. Maybe they were mistaken. And how could she take his word that they were spies when there was no proof at all? Just Naruto and his crazy theory. And these were her countrymen. She owed them more loyalty than whatever existed between her and Naruto. They were at best acquaintances, with future of working as teammates. And maybe friends someday. Dark mass of chakra surrounded the middle-aged man and started lifting him high in the air. The woman started screaming. The young boy who must be their son tried to attack Naruto only to be trampled over, and now his head rested beneath Naruto's feet, ready to be crushed at any moment. I can get the truth out of you easily. But that won't serve the purpose. Admit your crime and face Am's justice. Or deal with me, said Naruto murderously. That's enough, Naruto, barked Conan. She had just taken 2 steps towards him when his glare made her stop. Please, we're innocent. We don't know anything, begged the woman, and bowed her head in front of Naruto. Yet his merciless gaze never wavered. His eyes met with the struggling middle-aged man who was desperately trying to breathe, as Naruto's dark chakra tendrils kept him suspended in the air. The young boy beneath his feet had long since stopped resisting, and was now staring at the scene worriedly. Sometimes you must hurt others to know the truth, fall in order to grow, lose in order to gain, and learn the greatest teachings through pain. Conan stared in horror as he crushed the young boy's skull with his feet, splashing the brains all over the wet ground. The dark tendrils holding the middle-aged man pierced him from various sides, making a shower of blood and guts rain down on the woman. Never in her life had Conan seen something so horrific and barbaric. The woman gave out a blood-curdling scream that must have echoed through half of Am on watching her husband and son die so brutally. Yet Naruto never flinched, never hesitated, nor was he moved by the atrocity he had committed. Whatever doubts Conan had about his training and as to what he had done, or could do, were removed when the woman started sputtering out the truth. Conan was shocked when the woman actually admitted that she and the older man as well as the now dead young boy were all spies from Iwa. They were sent in to get battle plans about the forces Am had deployed towards Iwa's borders, in possible hopes of creating an invasion and destroying Am forever. By the time the woman gave the entire truth, she was badly shivering. A clearly terrorized look was seen in her eyes, as she stared into Naruto's gaze. She may still be more useful in providing more information, said Conan quickly, when she saw he was about to end the woman's life as well. Naruto looked Conan straight in the eye. Is that an order? He asked coldly. Conan nodded. He may be more powerful and more dangerous than her, but it didn't change the fact that she was a Junin. While Naruto was just hired by her village, it may have been too late to save the other two spies for getting further information, but Hanzo-sama could surely get more information out of this whimpering woman in front of them. Conan saw him give an irritated snarl as he was forced to accept her decision. This was her nation and she had the authority to make decisions, not him. And it clearly frustrated him. It's your lucky day, woman, spat Naruto, and shot Conan a disapproving glare before vanishing from the area in a mass of dark smoke. As soon as he was gone, Conan saw the enemy female spy fall unconscious and end up on the ground full of blood and flesh. She groaned. If this was what meant working with Naruto Uzumaki, then it was confirmed that he would drive her crazy with his antics in a few years, if not months. Still, she couldn't deny the fact that he was a deadly ninja. He was sharp, attentive, and had useful powers that allowed him to adapt to the situations far more quickly than others. She was yet to see his assassination skills, but he had already displayed the remaining of his skills by not only identifying a spy, tracking down an entire ring, and even getting information at a steep cost. Conan now understood why Hanzo was so interested in this boy. For Naruto Uzumaki was a deadly killing machine, about to be unleashed in a new war. The spiral symbol was as bright as he had ever known it to be. Still, standing in front of the memorial stone with his clan's symbol brought forth feelings he never wanted to associate himself with. His friends and younger clan members could never understand how he felt, for they never knew his truth. 4. He was to be Azu's secret weapon. Their village's counter to the Jinchurikis and powerful armies of other villages. It was this reason he was not allowed to make a last stand with the Azuki, for the enemy would likely capture him or worse kill him. A scenario that would be disastrous for his clan that was already on the verge of extinction. From the beginning of his life, he had been clearly told that his only reason to exist was to be Azu's weapon. At first he had felt a little bad, but he never had much he could cherish upon. So when he proved himself by starting to master his powers, the instructors paid him more attention, he got better food and clothing, a better home that was 1,000 times nicer than the orphanage, even a small pocket money, and most of all the personal attention of his dear Azuki. Naruto had always known that despite his Azuki being a nice person, the only reason the man treated him as family was because of his usefulness to Azu. Nothing more. Yet he had never felt any kind of relationship more truer than that. Maybe except for the one he shared with Nagato and Akeno. Azu and its people had only tolerated him because of his usefulness to them. They had never spared a moment to make him not forget that, but they had not lied to him. They had not abandoned him like his parents, and he was just happy to have a purpose to fight for. Just something that his miserable existence could be continued for. But he failed. The only thing he had been entrusted with, he failed. Every night in his dreams he saw his village on fire, the screams of his people, watching himself standing in the ashes of his destroyed homeland. His failure to protect his people from the ambush of Konoha Anbu, the list never seemed to end. A lone tear slipped from his eye that instantly merged with the rainfall falling on him. I'm sorry, whispered Naruto. Akeno and a few of the children had made this memorial stone in order to honor their former nation and the family they had lost. He had simply shrugged his shoulders when she showed him this stone for the first time, but unknown to her he had visited this place every night. The flowers replaced day after day. Katsuro-sama, it seems Akeno and Nagato might just be able to fulfill the dreams you had for our people. They'll carry on your will and change this world. Azu's will burns brightly in them. I was not worthy enough for my parents to raise me, neither could I become the weapon Azu needed so desperately. I failed to protect you from dying, and I couldn't help but watch the last remnants of our clan be betrayed and killed by our supposed allies. He didn't know why he was saying these things out loud to a stupid stone of all things, but this was the first time he was willing to even think about all the things that had happened in his life these past few months. He had always displayed a calm and collected side of him to his friends and remaining clansmen to not make them panic, but he felt Azu's loss just as much as them, if not more. Azu had been the only home he had known, the only thing that came close enough to family and gave him reason to exist, and when it died, a part of him died with it. He knelt beside the stone, clasping a few strands of grass beneath it. I couldn't be the guardian you wanted me to be. But I will be the avatar of vengeance. I will rain down death and destruction over everyone that destroyed our nation. I will change this shinobi world, no matter the cost, so that there won't be any more sacrifices like you guys, promised Naruto. Respectfully replacing the old flowers he had placed yesterday with the fresh ones he had brought today, he placed them at the feet of the memorial stone, and after a deep bow he walked out of the cemetery. All the while a pair of eyes watched him intently. He felt strange. After nearly 2 weeks of deliberation and selections, AM had finally managed to come up with candidates that they wanted to assign to Domino Squad. What a ridiculous name. In the ninja world, enemies feared the shinobi as much as they feared the name. But with such a childish one like Domino, all prospects of intimidation were lost. Still, it wasn't his job to advise AM on how to name its squads. He was certainly not paid for that kind of thing. What was interesting was the fact that he was asked to report to Hanzo's office in full military gear, ready for battle. He may just be guessing, but Hanzo just seemed the type of leader who judged people on how they performed to his expectations, rather than their reputation or works of the past. Curious, Naruto had purchased one of the finer armors used by mercenaries. His face covered by his traditional black-colored face mask, along with the plain shady-colored Anbu mask that sported the face of a demon. Combine that with his gear that was light bluish to dark greenish in color, you have one of the most effective camouflaged soldiers that would hardly be visible to most ninjas in AM's harsh weather. He smirked when he saw the guards stationed outside Hanzo's chamber flinch on seeing him walking towards them. Since he had only visited this place once and never became too sociable with anyone except for Conan, they couldn't identify him. So, when they tried to stop him, he simply walked past them, using their fear of him and his aura to keep them frozen in their position long enough to open the door and walk inside. When he entered the chamber, he allowed the frozen guards to fall unconscious right in front of Hanzo and his most trusted advisors. Their reactions made his actions worth the trouble. Galatea and Mifune were outraged, Conan twitched, so did the stupid orange-haired boy beside her. The fatso on the opposite side was looking like a boiled potato. There was another sneaky-haired boy that just eyed him warily. And of course, his two best friends were also there, who at the moment wanted to be anywhere else but here on seeing his antics to rile up their new allies. But what they didn't understand was that it was his fear and that of his power that would keep AM in check. Prevent this nation from abusing his people, or fear the wrath he could havoc on them. The fact that he could simply walk into their leader's office without the guards even not able to stop him presented a dangerous threat. If not anything else, it would at the least push AM to improve the standards of their shinobi training by implementing harsher regimes than the current baby programs they had. Strangely, Hanzo only smiled at his obvious challenging action. The sight only made his supporters and ninjas look at the old man strangely, even as Naruto came forward and offered a nod to the man, then stepped beside his friends. He could see Akeno itching to give him a nice little bop on the head, so he merely gave her a mischievous wink. Nagato simply shrugged, now simply having to get used to his best friend's antics. The people in the room were still staring at him, not only due to his introductory actions, but also due to what he was currently wearing. To be honest, he looked just like one of the rogue Anbu agents that had forsaken their homelands and usually stuck together in groups in order to survive against the hordes of hunter ninja like Kisame that was sent after them for their betrayal. Maybe he should try getting more of those people for the Akatsuki, since there was no lack of pawns availability in this world. On Hanzo's nod, Mifune stepped forward. The 7 of you have been chosen to be a part of special group of warriors who shall answer our nation's call in this need of hour. You will go by the name of Domino Squad, assigned any mission that would help in protecting AM from all threats. Not all of you know each other, and neither do we ask you to be friends if you don't want to. But Hanzo-sama has placed great hopes in you, and failure will not be accepted, declared Mifune seriously. It was Galatea's turn to carry on this short ceremony as the now new team members glanced at each other even more critically. trying to guess each other's strengths, and more importantly any visible weaknesses. Shinobi would be shinobi, no matter what nation or beliefs they were loyal to. A few days ago, we discovered a spy ring of Iwa that was trying to gather information about our deployments and strategies to be implemented across the border we share with them, in the hopes of launching an invasion. Further investigation has revealed that the Tsuchikage doesn't consider us much of a threat and has already sent a small company of Iwa shinobi to start attacking our border villages, which will be followed by the larger invasion force that will aim to strike at our capital after establishing proper supply lines through our territory so that their army doesn't starve or run out of weapons, explained Galatea, her voice grave and her gaze worried. There were alarmed looks flashing through the members of Domino Squad. Their nation did not have the power or resources to openly survive warfare against any of the Great Five, namely, Iwa, Kiri, Suna, Konoha and Kumo. With one of them already decided to wage war, it would just repeat history with the other villages trying to gain Am's little resources or simply use their nation as the battlefield like the previous Great Ninja Wars in order to avoid much ruin to their own nations. But we will stop them all, declared Hanzo decisively. Naruto had to give the old man credit. His confidence restored the faith of all his nervous troops, enough that they actually bowed before Hanzo and promised victory. Even his friends. But he never bowed, never nodded. Call him stubborn, but he had his pride which didn't falter even when Mifune and Galatea shot him disapproving glares. Uzumaki Naruto, I want to send Iwa a bold message. I don't want Domino to stop them, but make an example, hinted Hanzo, making the other ninjas look at Naruto who smirked. Can these guys do what is needed for this mission? Asked Naruto boldly, and this statement earned him glares in return. They will have to since you are the team leader on this mission, said Hanzo calmly. Naruto raised an eyebrow, this was new. He had not expected this development, but he reined in his surprise and simply nodded. Then I'll make my intentions clear. I am going to butcher this entire Iwa company in the most brutal and terrifying manner. Iwa is a village that is deeply religious and fears the gods. If we make them believe that the gods are against this invasion, then they will stop. The Tsuchikage may not believe in these things, but his soldiers do. This mission will test the limits of your humanity, might even drive you crazy. If you feel that you are not fit for the job, opt out now, promised Naruto, letting leak some of his chakra. Hanzo's raised hand stopped everyone in the room to blast at the boy for the open threat. He's right. If we respond with brute force, Iwa will just be more pumped to start an invasion. To protect Am and its citizens, you must do whatever Naruto asks of you. This is my order, declared Hanzo. Hi, replied all the ninjas, none of them looked pleased. Everyone go and prepare, you leave in 4 hours. Galatea and Mifune you too. Naruto you stay, ordered Hanzo. The two advisors left shooting dark glares at Naruto who silently offered him the middle finger. By the time his team left, he and Hanzo were the only ones left in the room. They're not ready, said Naruto honestly, making the old man nod tiredly. They have not seen what you have seen. They don't know the pain of losing their home, but you do. I don't approve of these measures, but I have seen what shinobi are capable of. And my nation does not have the strength to match the Great Five. Just how dark are you going to go? Asked Hanzo seriously. Enough to break the souls of your soldiers. It will not be just the enemy who dies in this mission, but the souls of your soldiers as well. Akeno and Nagato have seen some of this dark side of the world, so they won't be as badly affected. I'd suggest to give these people at least a week's leave to cope after this mission, suggested Naruto. Hanzo sadly nodded. If that is all, said Naruto curtly. Don't walk in the darkness of this world for too long, Naruto, advised Hanzo, making the boy stop. When he glanced back with his one dark red eye, and the malicious dark aura that he leaked, he had the pleasure of watching Hanzo be surprised. You were mistaken, Hanzo. I am the darkness. Naruto swiftly walked through the corridors, until something emerged from the shadows and grabbed his arm. The grip was strong as he was instantly pulled inside and he nearly plunged his sharp kunai through this intruder's neck, but stopped on seeing it was none other than Akeno. Akeno, I could have killed you, scolded Naruto, she scoffed. It'll take you more effort than that. What the hell is your problem, Naruto? I get it, you don't like Am. But would it be nice for you to be at least cordial towards these people? Asked Akeno tiredly. Respect is earned, Akeno. And I have no desire of earning their respect when I am here for my own reasons, but I'll give you this, that if the members of our team manage to complete this mission on my terms, then I'll try to not antagonize them more than necessary, he offered with a smirk. She sighed. It was not what she wanted, but that was the best she was going to get from him. Her mission for Naruto to make more friends in Am and maybe change his mind to leave Am after his contract was over seemed more difficult than she had originally thought. He brought her attention back to reality when she felt his hand on her cheek, and even through his demon mask she saw the gentle glint in his eyes. Besides, I don't need them when I have you. She smiled and hugged him, and he happily returned the gesture by wrapping his arms around her. I'm sorry for not visiting you these past few days, apologized Akeno, but he shook his head. You were helping our people find homes, the younger children get settled with their new families. Nagato was also busy with some work, I understand that. Besides, Conan was there, so I was not all alone, said Naruto casually, as he broke the hug only to see a constricted look on her face. It was as if he had just made her eat something distasteful. Akeno? He asked curiously, making her smile. But he saw it was forced. That's nice. But next time, you and I are going to have dinner together. My treat for being so busy and not meeting you, offered Akeno. He smiled. Who am I to refuse free food and drinks? Asked Naruto jovially. Miser, taunted Akeno, but she was smiling as she punched his shoulder lightly. Come on, I'll help you get your gear, said Naruto happily, and slipped his hand around her shoulder. Akeno grinned happily while giving him a wink and placing her own hand around his waist, bringing them close to each other. Who am I to refuse free labor? They both laughed as they walked out of the corridor. By the time they reached the gates of the city, the team was there along with Galatea. The woman gave a curt nod to Akeno and a sharp look to Naruto, who returned the gesture boldly. The Iwa company will enter our border in the next few days. The 7 of you will be outnumbered and outgunned against them, so make every move carefully, warned Galatea. Naruto looked over his team. Unlike the previous meeting with Hanzo when they were dressed in their regular shinobi uniform, this time Galatea had made them purchase and wear the same mercenary outfit and armor like Naruto. All of them were also sporting demon masks, making them appear to be rogue Anbu agents. The team nodded towards their mission commander, and Galatea ushered Naruto to step aside. He reluctantly did so. I don't know what you are up to, Naruto, but these are my soldiers. If I find out you have done them any unnecessary harm, then you will dearly pay, threatened Galatea, as he looked at her closely. So, you're going to be with the backup. Far away but close enough to respond if we fail, suggested Naruto, and for the first time she smiled a little. Use this sharpness of yours to get your team out of this mission alive. I know you can do it, if you want to. With those words she walked away, leaving him to face 6 people who were directly staring at him. He easily spotted Nagato and Akeno's relaxed looks, Conan's skeptical one, and the remaining 3 seemed nearly hostile. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at the irony of the situation. All his life he was trained to become a covert operative, someone who worked on his own, and here he was now tasked with leading an entire squad. Life really was unpredictable. All right, you 3 introduce yourselves now, commanded Naruto, pointing his finger towards the 3 demon-masked boys. Yahiko, said the orange-haired boy. Kyusuke, said the tiny midget with the twin tantos. Daibutsu, replied the giant fatso, although the staff on his back was quite impressive. Naruto then commanded the remaining 3 members to introduce themselves, and when that was out of the way he distributed between them a set of cards that had detailed information about their teammates' rank, past experience, skills. The team gave him a confused look. Come on, you can hardly expect me to take your word on everything when this is the first time we work together. The same goes for myself as well, so Galatea has given me these cards. Study each other's strengths and weaknesses along the way. If you have questions, ask when we stop for a break, if there is any. Clear? Asked Naruto seriously. Kyusuke, aka. The midget raised his hand while looking over Naruto's own card. What do you mean dark powers? Asked Kyusuke, as he read the word written on the card. The 3 boys suddenly felt a new presence lurking around their mind, probing their mental barriers gently. They panicked, and that was when the presence barged in, and inside their mindscape they saw the deadly gaze of Naruto Uzumaki. When the trance ended, all three of the boys were looking at a very sweetly smiling Naruto Uzumaki. And that is what we call dark powers. Lesson 01, said Naruto cheekily. Akeno and Conan face palmed. Nagato chuckled, and the remaining three boys looked mildly embarrassment. Just when everybody was about to relax around each other, they saw Naruto take out a map and signal them to walk towards him. Soon enough, entire Domino squad was looking at their team leader, whose finger was pointing at different areas in the map. Our forces will be entering through our northern borders. Between the small villages and open lands, there exists a valley. I plan to make it the graveyard. Don't expect to receive help from the patrol scouts because they will be dead. And we cannot allow our forces to hit these villages, understood? Asked Naruto seriously, and this time he saw all ninjas seemed quite determined to protect their countrymen. At least they had dedication and were loyal to their country, he could respect that. Time is of essence here, so Conan and I will scout this valley. Since we travel faster than you guys, it becomes imperative that you arrive in time. Yahiko, adopt an arrow formation and lead the rest of the team towards the valley. Can you do that? Demanded Naruto. Yahiko seemed surprised by this new role, his eyes cleared, showed he never expected even a tiny leadership job. Naruto saw Conan nod appreciatively, even Kyusuke and Daibutsu looked much more relaxed with this development. Nagato gave a thankful nod to his friend while Akeno shrugged. I'll do it, Captain. Replied Yahiko happily, even as Naruto raised a curious eyebrow at the new respectful designation. Very well. You guys shouldn't be more than a few hours behind us, advised Naruto. Everyone nodded. Scatter. Conan disappeared into thousands of paper pieces and flew in the sky. Naruto dissolved into dark smoke and disappeared in the dark night. The rest of the team were a little surprised, but Yahiko managed to get their attention, and soon enough they took the hard road at great speed. They would not fail. Am's future was at stake. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.